and start our presentation with our wonderful book creator crew. Just want to thank you all for being here for, I don't even remember what number episode this is, but we really appreciate you being here for our very first different type of webisode. As many of you know, in the past, our webisodes have included presenters from educational from districts, basically district offices, or from schools in our county and in our region. And we have decided to move in a different direction based on your feedback. Honestly, it was somebody from a group here and a couple of other people that suggested having EdTech organizations come in and talk about their product a little bit, so we can get to learn the product and ask all the good questions to these wonderful experts and move from there. But as many of you know, as a county, we're really focused on the pedagogical side of things, and we really appreciate Book Creator working with us to ensure that they're talking to you about all the amazing features. So some of the features that we really appreciate within Book Creator are the accessibility features. And so that's what this is really going to be all about. So really want to thank you all for being here. I would like to turn it over to Dr. Chan to introduce herself and introduce our wonderful presenters.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so great to be with you all. If we haven't met before, I'm Teresa Chan, and I'm a digital learning and computer science project specialist, and I work alongside Sonal and our other colleague, Jessica Boucher. And it is my great pleasure to introduce to you two very special guests from Book Creator. We have Catherine and Jen. So thank you so much, and I'll let you kind of introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about yourselves. And the floor.
Sorry, one more thing. We are
Sorry.
recording this webinar, so if you prefer to have your cameras off, we completely understand, but we wanted to let you know that we are recording and we are possibly housing this on our public county website. So just wanted you to know that. We love seeing your faces, but we're recording it to get this out to as many people as possible. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you.
Over to you, Jen or Catherine.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Capiello, and I'm one of the teacher success managers here at Book Creator. Really happy to be here with you all today. We are focusing on accessibility features with Book Creator today. So I'm going to be showcasing all of the some of the wonderful accessibility features we have. We have over 230 of them. So we would have to be on a very long webinar to show all of them for you today, but I'm going to be showcasing some of my very favorite ones that you can use in your classroom with students come tomorrow. So we'll be focusing on those today. I'm located out in Chicago. I've been with Book Creator for about 3 years now, and I'm a former educator myself. I taught for about 9 years before joining the Book Creator team, and I've taught kinder, 3rd, 4th, 9th, and 10th grade, kind of across different grade levels, different subject areas, and worked with many, many different types of students as well. So yeah, like I said before, I'm happy to be here. If you have any questions today as I'm going through all of these different accessibility features, feel free to stick them in the chat. My colleague Jen is on here to help with the chat today, to manage that for me. And also, if you have any aha moments, we love that in the chat too. So I prefer being in person, but we do have to be on a webinar today. So I love just having those aha moments. And I know Jen does too. She would love to have that chat going back and forth. So if you want to put those in the chat too, but I will let her introduce herself too.
Perfect, Catherine, and thanks everybody for taking the time to hop on here today. My name's Jen Cousins. I am the partnerships manager for the West Coast. So I work with all of our school districts in California, and I am located here about 2 hours outside of Denver in Buena Vista, Colorado. So I will be manning the chat. So yes, as Catherine said, please feel free to throw any questions in there. And if it's something that needs a little more detail, I'll flag her down as she's going so she can help us answer the question.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen real quick. Let's go ahead and do this. All righty. So what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna have Jen in the chat. She's gonna go ahead and throw in the chat our site, where if you want to log into Book Creator as we're going through some of these accessibility features, you can go ahead and do so. The site to do that at is app.bookcreator.com. I'm going to log out just to show you what that login process looks like real quick in case you are brand new to Book Creator. It's app.bookcreator.com. I think she just stuck that in the chat. So if you want to go ahead and go in to app.bookcreator.com, just so that you are aware, if you are brand new to Book Creator, the first site that does pop up is the student sign in. Make sure you not get, I know we get excited and we want to sign in right away. Do not sign in as a student. Make sure you click on switch to teacher. It's right under that student sign in. Click on switch to teacher and then sign in with whatever is associated with your school district single sign on. You'll be prompted to answer some questions about where you teach, what do you teach, what grade levels, and so forth. And then you'll be prompted to create your first library. Think of your library as your first classroom. You invite students to your library, and that's how your students have access to create books with you. The free version of Book Creator is fantastic. You have access to a lot of our premium features, or not premium features, but a lot of our free features. Today, I'm just going to be talking about all of our accessibility features are free. So you're going to have access to everything I talk about today on the free version, okay? So on the free version, you have access to 1 library and 40 books. So you'll be able to create up to 40 books with your students, okay? When you log in, you'll be part of a library, and that's where it will take you to where you were, or if you've already used Book Creator before, it will take you to a library. Okay. All right. Just to show you before we even get started, just to show you a few things before I hop in and just show you all the accessibility features. To take you to your main screen in Book Creator, once you're a part of that library, at the top left right here, if you click on these 3 lines right here, this takes you to your teacher dashboard. Your teacher dashboard, think of this as your main screen. This is where all of your libraries live, which would be like your classrooms. At the top, there are a few tabs right up here. I'm going to talk about these tabs really quick before we jump into everything, just so that you are aware of them. The first tab to the right of the Libraries tab is the Discover tab. The Discover tab is where you can find a bunch of different resources by examples by grade level, as well as a bunch of books right in the middle here. You can toggle through for different ideas, resources that are created by our graphic design team, as well as our ambassadors. And I'm going to share some of these books with you today. And then you also have down here, you can browse libraries that are filled with, that are sorted by subject area. So I highly recommend checking this out when you have some time too. To the right of the Discover tab, we have our Learn tab. This is where you're going to find all of our support articles. If you're brand new to Book Creator, you're going to need some support. So I do recommend checking out some of these support articles, especially this Getting Started tab. It's going to give you all of our support articles, step-by-step instructions, pictures, videos on how to get started. Then to the right of the Learn tab, we have our certification course. Certification course I've created with my colleague, John Smith. He's the other teacher success manager. You go through these self-paced modules that have videos. They save as you go. At the end, you take a quiz, which you should pass. You'll get a certificate of completion as well as a digital badge. And then you can use these videos as well. You can go back to them and use them with your students to show them how to use Book Creator too. It takes about maximum 90 minutes to complete. I recommend you taking this course if you are brand new to Book Creator, or if you haven't used some of the new updates to Book Creator, I highly recommend taking that as well, so you're up to date with everything. You'll be a complete expert on how to use Book Creator, and you'll be good to go for the future too. So I recommend doing that. To the right of that, we have the App Store. This is an advanced section of Book Creator. We're not going to be really talking about this today, but this is one of the new features that released last year. So I recommend if you are, if you've used Book Creator before and you haven't checked it out, recommend doing that. We also talk about this in our certification course, okay? So I really wanted to focus on showing you that certification course and the Learn tab as well as Discover tab, just so you know where you can find examples as well as where you can find those support articles. So if you have any questions looking at those support articles, where you can find those, okay? All right, let's go and hop on into our features for today. So let me go back into my library. You find it. Give me 1 second. Wish there was a search function so I could find that. Okay, I'm going to share this book with you at the end of our session today. So just know that you'll get all of these resources at the end as well. All right. And here's some of my information. I'm Book Creator Cat on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, you can give me a follow. I always send out some updates, resources, things to share. So feel free to give me a follow. I'm also just, my email is Catherine@bookcreator.com. So feel free to shoot me an email as well if you have any questions. And let's show you some of the features. Okay, so I'm just going to go through some of my top features with Book Creator that I would suggest using in your classroom for accessibility. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about them and then I'm going to show you them. Okay, so the first thing is going to be dictation. I do apologize. I have COVID right now, so I'm going to be coughing my way through this. So please bear with me. So dictation. Let me show you a dictation. On the plus, what's great about Book Creators, we have these 3 buttons right here. These 3 buttons are all you're going to need to know if you're brand new to Book Creator of the features. When I click this plus button, one of these buttons is going to be the record feature. What's great about the record feature is students can record their voices. This is a great way for them as an option to demonstrate their understanding. When I click on the dictation tool, I can start my recording. Now I can record my voice. This is also a great accessibility feature if you want to provide directions for students for work too. So many different ways that you can use the record button for student work. Recording. I can replay it to listen to myself, to hear, is this what I want to say? If I like it, I can use my recording, or I can delete it and then re-record it if I want to. So use recording. What's great about this too is not only can I use the recording, I also can get a transcript for my recording. If I click on this inspector sign right here, there is a button that says add transcripts. So I have my recording, but if I click on the inspector, I can add a transcript. Whatever language I was speaking in, I can change it into whatever language I was speaking in, and I can generate that transcript automatically, or I can enter in a transcript manually. So maybe I want to enter in something manually. Maybe I want step-by-step instructions. Maybe I want this to be in a different language. Whatever I want, I can add that transcript. For this, I'm just going to generate this automatically to share with you. It's going to generate the transcript manually in the background. But the record button's great. It's great for them to record stories. It's great for them to, I've seen it being used for accessibility a lot for just reading directions for student work. You're going to see we have an upload PDF feature, so you can upload a PDF and then record directions for the PDF on top of it, which is really, really helpful for students too. So I'm sure you can think of a million different ways of how you can use some of these features. I'd love to hear in the chat as I go through some of these things of some ways, if you're thinking, oh, I could use this for X, Y, and Z too. Feel free to put those in the chat. So once that transcript pops up, I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, now we have captions. Just like there's our transcript, let me show you. So here you have the record button, but then you have a transcript. So they can listen, and then they can, while they're listening, they can read it. So you can see the transcript pops up. So they're reading the words while they're listening. You can also edit the transcript where it says edit right there. Captioning. When I click on the plus button, I have the option for the camera tool. When I click on the camera tool, I have the option to record a video. I'm going to record my video. Now I can start recording my video. Maybe I want to record a video. Maybe it's a specific lesson for the class. Maybe we're learning about animals, let's pretend. My video, use my video. Same thing, just like before. That inspector button is where I'm going to click on my video. It's going to load. Normally doesn't take this long to load. It might be by Wi-Fi. There we go. And I can click add captions. So before I clicked on the inspector to add transcript, now I can click on the inspector to add captions. I can click on add captions. Same thing here, whatever language I was speaking in, I can generate it automatically, or I can add captions manually. I've seen this done where I've seen teachers add in a different language. So it's a different language, a translation for students. But there's so many different ways that you can add captioning, or just for students to see the words on the page while you're speaking too. So generate that automatically. Those are going to generate, and I'll show you those once they're generated. And I love seeing some of those ideas. See. You could change the language in terms of, yeah, change the language per parent groups. Yeah, these are great. Hopefully that will load. Okay. I already went through the audio transcript, so we'll go through that. Okay, keyboard navigation. So for keyboard navigation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this support article in the chat, because keyboard navigation is one thing I cannot actually show you myself, because you have to be seeing me on my keyboard doing it. So I stuck that inside the chat. So what's great about keyboard navigation is if you have students that cannot use a mouse and they need to use the keyboards to actually navigate, you can actually do everything in Book Creator just by using your keys. So I stuck that in, I've stuck in the chat our support article that goes through everything about what keys that the students can use. They can even draw, they can paint, they can use auto draw, they can use all of our features. You can see in this video right here, just by using the keys on the page. So I stuck that support article to show you the specific keyboard shortcuts that they can use to do that. So check that out in there. Next one is the pen tool. So for the pen tool, for the accessibility, under the pen tool, some people don't look at this as an accessibility tool, but one teacher that I work with a lot, she works a lot of the time with she works specifically with English language learning students, and she uses Magic Ink a lot. And for her Magic Ink, she uses them in science notebooks. And the Magic Ink, first of all, it's a very engaging tool for students. When students are using Magic Ink, they're instantly engaged and they're excited to use it. They almost call it the magic pen, okay? Also with the magic pen, especially in science, she's noticed that the magic pen is able to show movement. So she's noticed when they are, let's say, making diagrams, or maybe they upload a file into Book Creator and then they are editing that file within Book Creator, things like that. They're able to show movement within Book Creator, and that's really helping the students see something and seeing its movement. So the Magic Pen has really been helpful to those students. She's also seen with the pen tool, the highlighter. The highlighter can really help students. Let's say with reading, with writing, you can use that highlighter tool to just highlight different keywords, different key phrases, things like that. We have, just as if you were doing that in the classroom with different things, we have that highlighter tool using as an accessibility feature there too. Lastly, we have, let me click done here so I can show you last feature. We have something called auto draw. If you have students that might say to you, I can't draw, auto draw is perfect for students that say, I can't draw. And this is going to be a motivator for them to feel confident. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to start drawing a sun, okay? And up here, it's going to start guessing what I'm trying to draw. So I'm going to start drawing a sun. And there it starts picking up what I'm trying to draw. So I'm not trying to draw a spider, I'm not trying to draw a crab, I'm trying to draw a sun. There's my sun. Here's my sun. we have all these different creativity tools, like a little fill bucket. I can pick my color of my sun and I can fill in my sun. So it's great for students that say, I can't draw. Guess what? We have auto draw. It's going to make you feel confident and you can draw with auto draw. It's really fun stuff. Okay. Next one we have the read to me feature. So when I click on the play button, remember the read to me is the play button. If I click play right here, there is a button that says read to me at the top. When I click read to me, let me make sure the sound's on here. There's different things I can do. There's a settings icon first. If I click on the settings icon, I can have side to side pages, or I can turn that off to just have it like a presentation page. I can do side to side. I can change the voice into whatever language that my text is in. So for me, it's English. So I'm going to make my voice in English. I can have the words highlight, or I can turn that off. I can have multimedia be played, or I can turn that off. So if I had a video that I wanted to automatically play, I could have that automatically play, or I could have that off, that the student would actually have to click it. I can have the pages actually automatically turn on them on their own, or I could have them not. And then I can have the speed have the voice speed faster or slower. Okay, so you can play around with that under the settings. And now we can have read to me. So if I click on read to me, let's see what this sounds like for this page.
Read to me. Wait until they see this. Read to me. Wait until.
So you can see how that goes for that. And then, like I said, if you're in a different language, you can change the voice. So it's with that different language. Okay, let's go back to editing. That's one of my favorite features. I love how it highlights the words for the students. And you can do the different speeds for the students too. Okay, real-time feedback. So this is one of our new features that we have to give students real-time feedback. There are different ways that you can provide students with feedback. At the bottom of a page, there's this little plus button with a comment bubble. If I click on this plus button with a comment bubble, you can actually provide students with feedback. Let me go to a different page I have. Let me go to this one because this one's blank. Here we go. Okay. Right here, we have different ways that you can leave feedback. The first way you can leave feedback is just by text. Okay. So I'm going to say, great work on your book. Okay. Okay. But what if your students don't know how to read yet? Or what if your students struggle with reading? Well, you can leave your students a video. I'm going to click on the video, start recording. Great work on your book so far. I'm so excited to read the middle of your story. Keep up the great work. I can replay it if I want to, and I can click post. What I love about it too is when I press play, great work on your book so far. I'm so excited. The students can pause it in the middle. So if they need to pause your video, make an edit, and click play the middle of your story, they can keep going too. So they can press pause if they need to. You can also leave an audio clip. Imagine just doing audio clips in your students as feedback. Instead of having to type everything out, just make an audio clip recording. I noticed a few spelling errors. Maybe you should use speech to text to check for those spelling errors. I noticed a few spelling errors. Maybe you should use speech to text to check for those spelling errors. So forth. Next one, we have emojis. Who doesn't love an emoji? You can say, fantastic work. You can leave a GIF. We have all these fun GIFs. A happy GIF. I always love this one. Or a feedback sticker. There's all of these really cute feedback stickers you can leave. We write on. Or an animated emoji. So just how your students are going to respond. You know your students best. How are they going to respond? How are they going to be engaged? How are they going to be motivated to continue working? And what's going to be accessible for them? How are you going to differentiate for them? Okay. Now, what's great about this is they can respond to this. They can respond by using text. They can respond to you by using video. They can respond using audio. They have different options of ways that they can respond to this feedback. What happens is they get a little notification. In their library, there's this little bell right here. On the bell, it will light up in red, and there'll be a little number next to the bell, and it'll say how many comments that they have. It will show unread right here. And unread right here will show who is unread, what comments. They can click on the comment and it will take them to that specific page. So I'll just go to the page that I was on right now. And then that will pop up on what's unread. Now you might be thinking, I'm ready to leave feedback on my students' pages, but I don't know if I'm ready for them to comment back. And that's totally fine. You might want to have some more digital citizenship lessons and so forth. There is a way to disable it for students. There's a little settings button at the top right here of a book. You can click on that settings icon right here, and it says allow students to comment. You can click on that little button right here and you can disable it. When you disable that within a book, it says student commenting is disabled. You're able to leave feedback, but students cannot actually comment back. Okay, so just know that you can leave comments, but students cannot comment back. So just know that that's available in case you feel like they're not ready. They also can respond, but maybe they view the video, they can respond with just a thumbs up, or they can respond with a little 100%. There's different ways that they can respond to that feedback. But just know that you can always disable it or enable it if you wanted to. Okay, some of my favorite ways to leave feedback. All right, let's go back to another one. All right, the noun project integration. So the noun project integration we have is up on under shapes. We have search for anything. Now I believe you can only search for so many under the free version, so I won't talk about this too much, but you can search for so many under the free version. This is great for vocabulary. So for instance, we have over 2 million of their icons. I love this for vocabulary. For instance, if you wanted to, let's say you're doing vocabulary and you're learning about right angles, students can search for a right angle and they have an image to show that specific vocabulary word. So if you search down here, I can search for a right angle and I can populate that. But like I said, I believe the free version, you can only search for so many icons. So I won't talk about that too much, but that is available there under shapes. If you go to shapes and on top, it says search for anything. Maybe your vocabulary term is agriculture. And the students are learning about agriculture and they want to see an image that goes with their vocabulary notebook. They can pull an image and now they have that. They can change the color of it if they want to. And now they have an image that goes alongside it. And then you can use them. They can have a record button and talk about what is agriculture, talk about that. And they have this whole vocabulary notebook to talk about their vocabulary words. And we talked about commenting and feedback. All right, import PDF. This is one of my favorites. Okay, what I love about Book Creator is I always tell everyone you can make anything interactive and anything accessible for students. So importing a PDF. What you can do now is when you go to click on new book inside a library, there's a button at the top right here that says import book or PDF. When I click on this right here, I can drag a PDF or a book creator EPUB file, or import or browse files, or import from a Google Drive, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I would import a PDF. Let's imagine I wanted to import this reading log, but I wanted to make it accessible for some of my students, okay? So I'm gonna download this from the internet. I'm just gonna download that. Download this reading log I found. Just make believe I'm downloading this and I want to put it in, maybe they have a reading journal I want to edit. I'm just going to drag and drop this right into Book Creator. I'm going to put this into a square book right here. And it's going to upload. And the key here is to click on that because it becomes an image. Do you see how it became an image right there? Maybe I can make it bigger or smaller if I want to. If I click on it as an image, this little pen pops up. When I click on that little pen, now all my pen tool features pop up, okay? Maybe I want to edit this on here, all right? It says color in a book for every day you do your daily reading. Maybe I want to delete that. I can take my eraser tool and I'm going to erase that because maybe my group of students isn't going to do that every single day. So maybe I'm going to delete that. And maybe I'm going to delete month of, and I'm going to edit that as well. So I'm going to delete month of. So I'm going to delete those things. And maybe I want to put in like my own quote here. So I'm going to delete this book and I'm going to delete this quote because I'm going to put my own quote that I want in there. So I'm just going to erase all of this on this PDF because I'm going to edit this PDF and I want to make my own. Just do that. Okay. So that's what I want to do. I'm going to put my own directions there for my students. Okay. Then I want to show you what the students can do. So maybe I want to add maybe some text here. And maybe I'm going to say color each book after reading each night or evening. Done. There. Okay. Then what they're going to do is they can click on here. They can click on there. Watch this. They can click on, like, maybe they want magic ink. They can click on this fill bucket. Look what they can do. They can color this in. And they can color in any PDF. Think about what this could do for, like, if you had like a fraction activity, color in the pie. They can use the pen tool and color in the pie on here. You can make a book of fractions. They could do anything that you wanted to color in. Maybe they're doing an interactive story. You wanted them to color in a character, connecting to a character, and they get to color in the character. You do anything. So they're filling in their reading log and they're coloring this in at night. They're getting to be creative of how they're wanting to do it or color in the book, so forth. Or maybe add an emoji to it too. They can add this little emoji to their book they want to each night. And maybe that may add a little emoji to it. But but basically what I'm trying to show, maybe my emoji didn't go on top of, maybe it's loading still. It might have gone to the back of it. But what I'm basically trying to show is you can edit any type of PDF. Or maybe you uploaded a PDF and you wanted the students to go through and highlight. To go through, and maybe you had a bunch of like text you wanted them to annotate, have them annotate, and then at the end you wanted them to use the record button and now reflect. or maybe you had a record button and you had read directions to them and then you wanted them to reflect on that and so forth. So many things that you can do with uploading that PDF. Maybe they have an assessment. Upload that PDF and assessment, use that record button, upload those directions. I see a lot of people doing that with Book Creator. And then you can have them using that fill bucket, coloring it in, getting them engaged with it. They're going to have fun with it. So that's, again, if you go to the plus button or the new book button at the top, import book or PDF, you can just drag or drop, or you can browse files, import from Google Drive or so forth, get that PDF. You can just import into any type of book. And then just remember, you have to click on it as an image and that little pen thing will pop up. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Okay, let's keep going on. Okay, some resources for you. We have a lot of different books to show you. So this book, which I put in this book, but I'll also put in the chat. We have, this is just using Book Creator for differentiated learning. This book has been read, you can see, for over like nearly 30,000 times. So I'll put this in the chat, but you can see this here too. And it just goes through just how to use Book Creator, means of engagement, and so forth. And let me open this in a new window so I can share this with you too. So you can have this book. I'll stick this in the chat. It's a great book to read for differentiated learning, a great resource to share with your team. And there's one other book I wanted to share with you. It's on another page. This one is supporting language learners with Book Creator. I'll stick this one in the chat too. You also have this in this book that I'm going to share with you in just a moment too. But those are two separate books. If you work with language learners too, just some ways that you can be really accessible for them as well. And then I can show you a few examples of how teachers have made things accessible too, and then I'll take some questions too. So let me show you a few ways that teachers have made things accessible for students. Let me go into this other library real quick. Okay. So I know I talked a lot about the record button. And making a lot of times what teachers will do are like make templates for students. So this is a great example of how a teacher has, actually, let me go to a different one. This is not the one I was thinking of. Teachers will create templates for students, and what they will do, if I can find one, bear with me, because maybe this one would be perfect. Is they will create a template and then make it accessible for students. This one doesn't have it. Okay, let me go back to the other one. Sorry, I wish I could search for a library. Let me go back to that one. We'll just use this one. Okay, so this is an example that a teacher created to make it accessible. So what they did for writing was let me make this a little bigger so you can see. They used the record buttons and the transcripts. So this would be for a pre-writing template, and this would be for writer's workshop. The students would, they already did an example with the teacher. So they've already done like a mini lesson with the teacher. They did an example as a class together. The teacher showed them exemplar, and now they're going back to their seat to do one on their own, and they're doing it within Book Creator to make it accessible for some students. And what's great about it is they did this in everyone's book. So it's not just specific students are getting it. all students are getting this because all students can benefit from these features too. The students have these little record buttons, and in the record button, the students can press on them if they need it. This teacher has recorded to remind them what are they supposed to do in these scenarios. They also have the little transcript that they can press, so they can read it, or they can record, or they can press the record button to listen to the teacher doing it at the same time. So they have those different options. So it's a great way to see what they can do. So they're completing their small moment. They're writing what small moment do they select. They're completing their first, then, and then last. And then they can click on the record button to listen to what the teacher said. So it's a great way to show just an example of how that can be done on a specific template for the class. And then you would share this with the students. They make a copy of it, and then they edit that. Another example, see if I have another example for the students. This one's a great example of what they did was they used Book Creator for, they created an actual textbook. This is for like an older, I think this would be more secondary, but what they did here was, let me make this a little bigger too. They made a textbook to go alongside what the textbook in the class the students were using that had a lot of vocabulary for students and a lot of audio buttons. So let me click through this to go through the pages. Might be easier actually seeing side by side. So they have the chapters, and these are similar chapters that the students would be seeing within the classroom as well. But you'll see it has a lot of images, a lot of videos for the students. And then a lot of like things that the students can go off, and it's almost like an explore board, so students can go off, and then the text is going to be scaffolded for those students as well. And they've made a different book for those students. And they're going, it takes them like through a trip through this specific book, takes them through like a journey through that specific area that they're learning about. It's a really creative way for them. And you'll see there's all of these different audio buttons, and it's having them record themselves, also using some academic vocabulary and so forth. So it's a neat way that you can also create books for students to go alongside their curriculum too, that to scaffold it to their level that they're learning at as well. I like that example. I'm trying to think if I have another example. This one is this is a upper grade one as well. This is 6th grade. And for this one, let me click through to where the explore board hits. What I like about this one is it gives students options of ways to engage with content. So if you see here, the students, they have an interactive notebook that they're interacting with, and you could easily make this accessible by taking the features and then making them, you could make it accessible for specific students. But what I like about this is they, if you scroll through here, the students have these explore options. So there's different ways that they can explore through the content. So they go off to a PDF or a website, or they have videos, different ways that they can interact with the content, whereas it's not just reading a specific textbook or so forth. So they can make things very interactive. And then you can easily, with this interactive notebook, then add on those accessibility features to it as well. Let me share the book that I had, so you all have access to it. And then let me take some questions. Let's scroll through here. Here we go. Let me turn on publishing. go. I'm going to share that in the chat so you have access to everything. And then I'd love to take any questions you have. And feel free to just unmic yourself too. Or anything that you are maybe wondering about Book Creator, you wanted me to show you. It doesn't have to be just about accessibility too.
Catherine, there's a question earlier. I'm trying to find it. It was about, it was from Tiffany, and Tiffany asks, how do you change the voice within the same language? So is there a way to change the voice? So you typed it in English, it'll read it out loud to you, but can you change the voice settings?
How do you change the voice within the same language?
And there was a response from Jen as well, I think, that goes with it about read mode. Now you could go into the settings. Maybe, oh, it may have been
here. So on the read mode, let's see here. So when you go to read to me,
Accessibility feature.
No, let's not do that. If you go to right here, you can change. So you want it to change in so whatever language is here, like written in, then you can change the voice it's in. So if my text was in written in Spanish, then I would change my voice to be in Spanish. Does that make sense? I wouldn't be able to like, this isn't like a translator. So this wouldn't be like, this is going to be translated in Spanish. Is that what you were asking, Tiffany?
Mm-hmm. So Tiffany says, yeah, she sees three different English voices. So that's perfect.
Yeah, so it's just whatever, if it's typed in that specific language, you can change it. You can also change the interface into different languages too. We have a support article on that. So if you wanted like your entire interface to be in like French or your entire interface in Spanish, so that everything would just populate in Spanish or French or something like that, all the text would just pop up in that language. You could do that as well. And then you could just have that voice in that, but there's no like specific way to like translate.
Can I ask you a question, Catherine?
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Redwood. I love this, and I know a big portion of it is to get students creating, right? But I'm worried about accessibility for students in my district, that it might be blocked and not available. But if I made this as a teacher-made kind of lesson platform and shared a link like you just did, would students be able to see my product without having to sign in and have an account?
Yes.
Okay.
You just need to share that link with them. Once they see that link, they can access the book. They can access the book on any device.
I love this. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You can also, you can publish like an entire library of books. So let's say you had like a bunch of content you wanted them to explore. Under your little settings icon right here, you can scroll down and you can say publish library online, and you can publish the entire library if you wanted to. So if you had like a bunch of books you wanted them to explore, you could publish that whole library, give them that library link, and they could explore a bunch of different books too. And we go through all of that in that certification course.
And I'll just throw out there, if your district needs us to do anything to help with approval, sign a DPA, we're happy to do that as well. And most of the time, you know, in regards to privacy, we don't collect a lot of student data. So when we talk at a district level, they're very excited to know that. And typically it's pretty easy for us to get approval. But if you need any, like I said, any forms or contracts filled out, we're also happy to do that.
Yeah,